say it.
There we go. See it and say it. And it's not disc. It's like disc, like the map we just had, but it has the sand across the middle that galleys can travel on. But either
And of
way,
course,
we'll introduce the players first.
and I'll let you open up. 'Cause I feel like that's the sign of style we've got going on at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so Clash of the Titans, game number 1 between Buzz Blaze and VG Paladin. We've got VG Paladin in blue up to the north of the map, playing as Japanese.
And down to the south, we've got Buzz Blaze playing in the red, also as the Japanese, so we're going to have a Civ War matchup here.
Yeah, this is as with all of the first games in the Clash of the Titans. First one is to be a Civ matchup, and in the Clash of the Titans map pack. So we do have a pretty interesting map right here, similar to the disc map that we saw earlier, but slightly different due to the fact that you can actually send boats across the center of the map, which does make water a little bit more important.
Of course, because we do know galleys do have increased hit points, damage output compared to archers, so if you do have to go head-to-head in the middle of the map there, having a few galleys to support, definitely going to go a long way. Buzz Blaze actually already luring some deer into his town centre nice and early there.
Yeah, definitely a good choice to make. Obviously, all the extra food you can get in the Dark Age is good food that you pretty much need, but it's a bonus that you can get. That deer patch very close to his TC, and Paladin's deer patch also very close as well, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see him starting to push some deer in a little bit later on. They're just so close, it's kind of a no-brainer really.
Yeah, deer at this stage in the game, especially with the increased gather bonus, definitely going to help out, because of course once they do hit that big amount of food that they've got, if they're not going into scouts or anything, can send villagers around to kind of just stock up on other resources that they want to use.
Yeah, exactly. So this map, I think we are going to see a little bit more action on the water than we would have done on disc, just purely because there's pretty good fishing in the corner of the map, actually. Not so good along the sort of back and side edges, but the corners certainly have pretty lucrative fishing there, so certainly worth making a dock on the edge of the map. But also, as we said earlier, due to the fact that those galleys can travel along the sand in the center, makes it much more worthwhile in getting them out to really hold down the map and take the map control.
That's completely right. The bonus you're going to get from fishing on this map can be absolutely huge if your opponent doesn't do it, so naturally we should see both of them come up. Probably going to see 1 or 2 galleys come up, even if they're not going for water control, just to kind of snipe their opponent's galleys, and from that we could even see them just go into a water game.
Yeah, definitely. But one thing to note right now is that getting up to feudal in a really good fast time is going to be so important, and those deer are going to make the difference there in getting up to feudal as fast as you can. Also, just to confirm, this map is actually called Slippery Springs. There are so many maps in this map pool, it is quite hard to remember the names of them all, as they're not actually seen that often outside of tournaments, really.
Yeah, and the map pack for this tournament I think has been absolutely fantastic due to the fact we've seen so much variety, especially like we saw in the last games there, saw a landing on the water and then eventually taking back the water. Pretty much 2 things we never see in water games all up.
Yeah, certainly. Anyway, docks out for both of them, and in the corners of the map as well, so they both do know this map. And of course that is one of the really important things that you have to do. You have to know your maps well, especially going into it blind, because you don't know what you're going to get, and identifying the map and playing the right strategy and doing the right things early on is important. Both of them then seem to be up on their map knowledge here and identifying that the corners of the map are going to give them the best fishing.
Yeah, both players playing pretty much identical here. Those docks came up mere seconds away from each other there. And looks like those villagers are doing pretty much the exact same thing on the way back to the town center. So, could see a quite equal game here.
Yeah, certainly at the earlier stages of the game, I think it will be fairly close. I would say that Blaze taking a little advantage due to the deer right there could allow him to get up to the feudal edge slightly faster. And of course, that little edge on getting up to feudal can make the difference between winning or losing the water. But overall, I would still say that Paladin will get a slight advantage here. I think he is a more experienced player, certainly higher rated, so you would kind of expect Paladin to do pretty well. But at the early stages of the game, I think it can be pretty close still.
In the long run here, he's definitely got the late game experience that we should be expecting, especially from the CKF members. They're definitely known for going into really long, heavy games there. And Paladin, definitely one of the highest ranking members on that team, so wouldn't be surprised at all if we do see him just really rocket ahead eventually.
Yeah, perhaps. We'll see. I think Blaze is certainly going to give him a good fight either way. And actually, just luring that second boar in right now, it's pretty late to be luring it in. But he's, as we said, taken those deer, and he's actually got a really nice food advantage over Paladin right now.
Yeah, actually massive there, about 250 actually looking at it, and he's going to be able to go up to feudal age whenever he wants now.
Pretty much
and
now.
as soon as he finishes Loom,
He's going to click up, and, well, is he going to click up, or is he just forgotten? Because his TC's now idle. Come on, Blaze.
I think he's forgotten, and this is not what he wants.
No, not at all. I mean, he could have a few more seconds advantage on Paladin. He's still going to have an advantage. He's still clicked up sooner, but, I mean, he could have got another 5 seconds earlier there.
Yeah, exactly, and that means the difference between getting units out quicker. And if you can do that, hopefully be able to have the masses, and if he has the masses on the water, definitely going to look like he's in a good position, but that delay going to hurt him a little bit.
Slightly, but he's still going to be ahead in terms of getting up to feudal, which is, of course, very important. One thing to note right now, Paladin's starting to wall up with houses, and Blaze, obviously, at the moment, not thinking about walling at all. But these houses from VG Paladin, pretty much an indicator that he will go for full water right now, with actually 5 fishing ships out in the corner of the map, and 5 fishing ships, more than you would perhaps expect, and probably a little bit unnecessary as well. He could have saved that wood and got that dock up a little bit sooner, if he'd have taken those deer.
Yeah, it looks like we can see Blaze actually going in for the wall off now too, actually, starting off with his palisade there. And it looks like, oh, Paladin being the gentleman and sending some sheep into the town centre. Good man.
Yeah, definitely what we like to see. Gentlemanly play right there. But, I'm really still surprised that Paladin didn't take those deer. Kind of really strange thing to happen right now. But Blaze about to hit feudal. He's got his second dock up. His third is going to go up as well in just a moment. And you've got to remember that Japanese do make a pretty good water sieve, as they do get, obviously, those cheaper buildings on the wood there, which does allow them to get their docks up sooner, save a little bit of wood, and really start to take the water quite effectively.
Yeah, Blaze starting his galley production already. Paladin just going to have to wait a few more seconds before he's going to be able to. Has he got his second? Yes, does have his second dock up. Looks like his third will only just start coming up there.
Yeah,
so
and that's a big
see.
difference. Third dock is already up for Blaze. Third dock only just started for Paladin, and Paladin is going to be a little bit further behind here on the water.
Yeah, Blaze definitely going to come out with the unit numbers at the moment. In Dark Age, well, Feudal Age, sorry. Definitely what you want to see. Numbers and micro is really where it's going to be at.
Yeah, certainly. I will be interested to see how these guys are able to micro. I mean, obviously you've got VG Paladin from China, Blaze from Germany, so it could be quite difficult with latency for them to micro very effectively, but it might not be too bad. I don't know, because obviously we're spectating now. It's kind of hard for us to actually see what the lag is like.
Yeah, at the moment though, looking like Blaze is going to get his galleys up there just as the first few of Paladin come out, so he's going to be just in time to be able to push this first one off.
Yeah, certainly. And of course now, being able to defend is much easier when you're fighting outside of your own docks. So Blaze is going to get straight back right there. But he does know that he did have the feudal age timing advantage on that. So he should actually pretty confident going into this.
Yeah, definitely. Of course, when you are, well, attacking at your opponent's base, you should be expecting their reinforced time to be a lot less than yours naturally. So if you do start pushing in, you really do need to go for it and send just all your units up there and really just do the best you can at pushing your advantage at the moment.
Yeah, one thing I've noticed so far though is that Blaze has been getting population blocked quite a bit. Quite a few times now we've seen that population sort of indicator flashing up yellow at the top there, and obviously those little population blocks can really make quite a big difference overall if it happens quite a lot.
Yeah, Paladin actually in front in unit count at the moment, so like you said, it does make a difference overall. Not a big one on their own, but when they start to add up, yeah, we can see it right now. We can see Paladin pretty much equal population right now, and in fact just getting ahead again.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty close. Paladin's slightly further ahead, and nice one as well. Using that scout right there, he actually delayed Blaze's blacksmith, which does mean that Paladin can get a faster fletching done, and might actually take this opportunity to push, which indeed he is doing.
Yep, sending reinforcements down.
Nice
second,
micro
I guess,
from Paladin as well there. He is outnumbered, so he does need to go back, but he did micro that reasonably well. Blaze didn't seem to have much army control there. Paladin sending his lower galley back to his docks right now. Didn't lose anything there, even though he's outnumbered, but fletching is now done, but so it is for Blaze as well.
Yeah, I was expecting Paladin to reinforce there a little bit earlier, but he did come back, and looks like he's reinforced now and got that fletching, so ready to get in there. But Blaze having fletching done as well now.
Yeah, it's 10 galleys apiece as well, so this is a very even fight. Of course, Paladin will have the reinforcement advantage as he is fighting closer to his docks. Gonna GB slightly, and I wonder if Blaze is really going to push in and give chase. It's kind of a hard one for him to call. At the moment, that hesitancy seemingly losing him a couple of galleys, and now Paladin can push him back pretty easily if he wanted to. 7 galleys to 9.
Yeah, once that galley count starts to get higher for one person, the advantage starts to clearly show, because of course they can micro a little bit more sloppy, whereas if you're pretty low on galleys compared to your opponent, you have to be on the ball, you have to be there the whole time watching your galleys, because as soon as they start to go down, your opponent just getting further and further ahead.
Definitely. A lot of walling for both of these players, but one thing did just notice, Paladin sticking up an archery range there on the front, and, you know, he might be considering putting a little bit of pressure on Blaze on the land now with some archers coming out, and it could work out pretty well, but he has got to break through Blaze's walls.
Yeah, that's going to be the only problem at this stage. However, it is only Palisade at the moment, but Blaze can move back and wall a bit there. He has given himself space to fall back on, and it looks like Paladin actually taking those deer over in the back you were talking about before.
Yeah, finally actually taking those. But one thing I think he could actually do, Paladin this is, he could quite easily break down the palisade of Blaze on this left-hand side with his ships. If he wins the water, or even if he doesn't and just can't get his galleys to this palisade, he could break it down pretty quickly and get his way into Blaze's base quite easily.
Yeah, as long as he can get to a stage where Blaze just doesn't want to engage the amount of galleys he has there, gonna be pretty good to come in on that left side actually, and I don't think there's a lot Blaze can do about it.
Yeah, other than, as you said earlier, the fact that he has actually sort of walled quite far forwards, he can wall behind this if he wants to, and I think, given enough notice, he probably will be able to pull that off quite easily. But it is certainly one potential way that Paladin could get into Blaze's walls here.
Yeah, and well, we saw what happened before when you get a few archers in your economy. They can do a lot of damage, and once that happens, like we said, you start to fall behind, and every little advantage turns into a big one.
Yeah, definitely. Right now, though, I'm just looking at their food counts, and Blaze is just passing the 400 mark, Paladin on 300, and of course castle timing here is really important. Paladin going to be slowed down slightly by the fact that he is making some archers right now, so if Blaze does reach up to castle first, then he could be in a nice position on the water.
Looks like Blaze is trying to move out right now. Interesting that he's not going to try and wait for Castle. Might just be patrolling up a bit to see where Paladin is. But of course, first person into Castle Age, going to want to get that War Galley upgrade straight into Bodkin, and from there push the advantage as much as they can.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see how this one goes, see if they micro it very well indeed. Blaze going to be trying to move side to side right there. Paladin managing to sink one ship, nothing for Blaze just yet, and numbers are very close. 20 warships for Paladin, 20 for Blaze as well, and Blaze just going to have to go back right there and probably wait on that Castle Age upgrade.
Yeah, because of course, like we were talking about the tech there, as soon as you get that, you are going to push in because you want to do as much damage as you can, because while you have that advantage, it's going to be absolutely huge.
Yeah, definitely. Alright, we've got a little bit of a wait here, probably a pause. Hopefully it's not going to be the same as that last Black Forest game that we did, where he's like, oh, my dad wants me, admin went to you.
That was a bit of a letdown overall, because that was shaping up to be quite a big war in the middle there.
Yeah, looks like we're going to have, it's a little bit of lag here. They seem to be pausing and unpausing, and, there we go, they're not hanging around. Paladin, though, look at this. His army control here, terrible. If Blaze turns around, he could make massive gains. Paladin retreating at the last second, and you know what, Blaze there, if he'd have noticed that, could have picked off quite a few ships very easily indeed.
Yeah, Paladin definitely filing in one by one there, and of course, because of that, Blaze getting a free ship there, and at the moment, really just trying to pick off as many as he can.
Yeah, certainly. Paladin at the front with a couple of archers, trying to take out Blaze, as we said earlier, trying to push through with them right there. Getting one villager, unable to do all that much damage, and both of them up to Castle Age in a very close time indeed.
Yeah, Blaze actually sitting on 4 docks at the moment to the 3 of Paladin by the looks of things right now. So he will definitely gain a water advantage the longer this goes on, as long as he's not losing too many galleys and getting even trades.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just having a look at how many farms they've got. Paladin actually has no farms right now compared to Blaze, and I'm a little bit concerned about Paladin's food income. Of course, he does have fishing ships right here, which is it's quite a few. But if you consider that Blaze is going to have that food income as well, you do need that food for those all-important upgrades. A little bit of an engagement on the left side even. Looks like Paladin coming out on top right there.
Yeah, Paladin actually pushing into Blaze's base right now through that palisade. Quick wall from Blaze, going to keep him safe for now though.
Yeah, right there on the front. Going to be able to wall behind that with the barracks and the house. But I'm a bit concerned for Blaze right here, falling right back, waiting for that Castle Age upgrade. And Paladin going to start working on this dock, and if he can get this dock down, then that's a really good advantage for him.
Yeah, definitely. If you can kind of reduce the galley numbers and the galley production buildings, going to be in a good spot to push his advantage when he hits Castle Age, because both of them looking pretty much on the ball, so Blaze only going to have a few seconds there to make a really big difference here, and I don't think Paladin's going to let it happen.
No, I definitely don't think so as well. Another thing to note as well is Paladin is pushing in on the mainland. He's found a way in to Blaze's base and forcing Blaze to wall behind this once again. Paladin coming in with those archers there and picking off a few villagers as he does as well. So that's really good stuff for him right now. And both of them up to the Castle Age.
Yeah, from here we're just going to have to see what happens, and if Paladin can get into the base and do some good eco damage, gonna look like a good spot, but Paladin actually losing a few galleys there for nothing.
Yeah, kind of a bad engagement. Massively outnumbered on the water right there. Galleys going around the back. I think he must have mispatrolled them because they were just out in the middle of nowhere. And pretty sloppy army management from Paladin there, I've got to say.
Yeah, Paladin in the score lead right now, but definitely split his army up at the wrong time there. Because of course Blaze did come in and pretty much save that dock and do a bit of damage to Paladin at the same time.
Yeah, certainly. I think right now, though, Paladin with this dock in the top right-hand side, making it a galley right there, going to try and come around and take out the fishing ships of Blaze, I think. But at the same time, he's got a little bit of army on the land, and that is actually going to be really useful to him, because he might be able to pick off quite a few villagers in Blaze's economy right there.
Yeah, going to make it through that palisade in a number of seconds here, actually. The siege workshop is up in defense, actually a second siege workshop coming up as well.
Interesting.
But until he can, potential loss of villagers over here on this lumber camp.
Yeah, a lot of villagers could die pretty quickly to these crossbows. There's only a few, but they will do a lot of damage if they land those shots on. Looks like Blaze starting to get slightly further ahead in the water, but he is continually fighting against Paladin's reinforcements there. And Paladin now having to deal with this mangonel as well. Going to have to micro against that.
Of course, starting to get really micro-intense here. Both players fighting, especially on the water, that requires a lot of attention to your galleys. But then having the land fight as well, especially archers against mangonel, both players here are going to be really required to be at their fastest.
Yeah, having to really keep a close eye on what's going on right here. Paladin losing a couple of crossbows already, and Blaze able to defend for now, but it is coming at a little bit of a cost. He is having a very messy economy right here, and having to, of course, build new lumber camps and relocate villagers is never ideal.
Not at all. And
ooh, GG from Blaze. He just ran his ships up in the north. He ran them into Paladin right there, and Paladin managed to take them out very easily. And I think at this stage, Blaze with such a messy economy, I mean, just look at this. He's so messy right there. I just think he felt like Paladin was really starting to get ahead at this stage.
Yeah, we look at that, then we compare it to Paladin's economy, which is kind of neat, nice, tucked away there. 2 town centers, they're looking kind of nice, honestly. But really just being able to get it to as best as possible and just use that eco advantage to push in.
Yeah, definitely. You know, these crossbows that Paladin sent over, they didn't even kill many villagers, but the amount of damage he actually did to Blaze's economy, the forcing him to get that mangonel out, really made a big difference. And as well as that big mistake from Blaze in the north there, running those galleys into Paladin without attacking, really big mistake, losing a lot on the water, and I think Blaze really just felt he couldn't come back from that position.
Yeah, just even